Shout out Sniper T on the beat.
Tamara to the break of dawn is on the rise, with life on the forefront of the mind. So line for line, you can ride this brain train and you can change your station without even touching the dial. So relax, stay a little bit, but listen for a while. And whether you're bumping this in the whip or in a business fit, it's a meeting you won't want to miss. A meeting for a meal to feed the soul with words for the mind. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Time to take off, it's time to fly. Cause Tamara till the break of dawn is on the rise.
Hey y'all, hey, it's me, Tamara. Yes, studio audience, thank you so much for making it do what it do, baby. Yes, welcome to the show, y'all. Thank you so much for tuning in. New episodes drop every Thursday if you're new, so come on back through. And on my day 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whenever you came in, thank you so much. Y'all, we coming up on 3 years. That's crazy. That is crazy to me. For someone who said they could not be consistent when this show started, coming up on 3 years is wild. But if you're not, you should totally follow me on social media, and the link to that is in the episode notes. Shout out to y'all if y'all been watching my YouTube, because I've noticed I'm starting to get like more views on videos, because I wasn't even really getting views like that, but I would still put it up there because you know what I'm saying, you gotta be where the people at, you feel me? But shout out to y'all if y'all are watching my YouTube videos. If you're not though, you should totally subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will subscribe back. I'll get the email that you have subscribed and I'll go from there. Cause guys, new episodes drop Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central for the most part. Cause every now and then I'm a little bit off, but for the most part, that's when it drops. So yeah, subscribe to my YouTube channel. So guys, today is Sunday. Sunday has really become my favorite day of the week. Not just because church, although I do love going to church, simply because I spend so much of the rest of my week pouring out. I have more subcontracting clients. So much of my week between work, my family, whatever, is like me pouring out. And I love Sunday because I don't work on Sundays like at all. I do absolutely no work on Sundays. And then I go to church, you know what I'm saying? And then today, I told y'all last week how I'm trying to be more intentional with my kids and like do one-on-one stuff with each of them because I have different relationships with each of them. They're adults. It doesn't always have to be like just the 4 of us do stuff together. And so me and my oldest daughter went to one of my favorite places, which is this art center. I've been there a few times. Just found out about it this year, which I'm mad about because it's been here for I don't know how long, you know what I'm saying? But it's a 3-story art center, and they have so many different like artists that are in there, different mediums. So there's photography, there's glass blowing, there's people who do painting, and people who do knitting or other kind of stitch work or whatever. So yeah, we went there, and I have now hired her as my content creator. I'm trying to get really better at, especially on my company page where it's just content all the time. And so I'm trying to get better at like, you know, uploading just pictures of me like doing stuff, not just selfies, you know what I'm saying? So long story short, each of my kids at different points have taken pictures as I asked them to. But the thing about Kayliana, that's my oldest daughter, is like she's really into photography, and so she doesn't have a camera and all that. She did it with her phone or whatever, but her phone is better quality camera than mine. But still, like she just thinks about things like, oh, your hair, let me fix your hair, or fix your shirt, or this, that, and the other. And so I decided I'm going to pay her for her time. And so it's kind of funny, once she got into it, even before I said I would pay her, I saw a difference in her professionalism because she's like, well, no, I'm not going to let you look at every picture as we were doing prior to that. How about I just take pictures and then I'll filter through the ones that we kind of have a similar eye. So she knows something that I would not post. She's known me all her life, and she kind of sees how I am. And so that's kind of cool because I've really been wanting to get into like when I go to events or when I go places, have somebody taking pictures of me doing stuff just simply because like we need that content, you feel me? So when did that today, y'all. So we're in the art center, and that in and of itself makes me happy because it's one of my favorite places. Because y'all know I'm all about creativity, and there's just so many different types of artsy stuff, and it's always different when I go there. So I really like that. And then I ran into a couple of people that I know, so that's cool. So then the second person that I know, she was up on the third floor. Y'all, I done joined a knitting crew because she was up there with her knitting crew. And she and I, like, probably like 10 years ago, I used to actually, she had a different knitting crew. She's very much into knitting and she kind of taught me a little bit about it. And I actually really enjoyed it. And so they had some knitting stuff going on. And so they're like, oh, come sit. They had wine, charcuterie, candy, just like these unexpected blessings, y'all. So I joined a knitting crew and I will be going every Sunday, not every, but probably most Sundays though, from 3 to 5, because I'm usually not doing anything on Sunday. And I've really been trying to find stuff that, as I've said on here, like, what do I like? What are things that make me happy? Yes, I like to spend time with my kids and stuff like that, but they're grown. They have their own lives. Usually my daughter's working on Sundays and I don't even know where the other two are right now. So usually, as I said, I'm alone on Sundays. And so, yes, I like to go to church, but also if I don't have to work, it's not like I want to be busy, but I don't always necessarily want to just come right home. You know what I'm saying? So, super excited about that. I'm going to go get me some knitting supplies this week before the next little knitting session. I was like, y'all will see me again. I added one of the ladies on Facebook. I even told them about my podcast. I don't even know how that came up. And so yeah, this is how today went. Prior to today, man, this last week was insane. Like I was so far behind on work. When I tell y'all, it's kind of wild that I actually got up on time this morning to go to church because I had to actually leave earlier to drop my son off before church. And I was up so late last night doing all of this week's content. I'm very adamant about making sure that I have the content for, Tamara the Dawn Inc., Melon Intoxicate done by Saturday. And then I'm trying to get to the point where I even have the videos and the podcast episode recorded. I'm not quite there yet, but that's really what I'm trying to work towards. That way, during the week, I can just either meet with clients or whatever else comes up. It's a lot of transportation right now between taking different kids back and forth to work and this, that, and the other. So there's a lot of just busyness. I have this big SOP project. And last week it was just a lot of unexpected things added to my plate. And it just kind of really put me behind on my work. Like normally I'll have the Saturday video and the Saturday podcast episode recorded by Friday night at the absolute latest. Nah, Friday I was tired and I was just like I can't do it, you know what I'm saying? And so it wasn't done until whenever Saturday. And like these are the deadlines that I set for myself. So it's not like I'm behind on a client deadline, but kind of like y'all see with this show, I take deadlines seriously. Like every Thursday, if an episode is supposed to come out, it's going to come out. With my other podcast, every Saturday, if an episode is supposed to come out, it's going to come out. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm really having to just kind of figure out rhythms and just different things, but I'm trying to create more of a margin because then when things happen that are unexpected, it won't be like this yesterday where I was up till like almost 4 o'clock in the morning by the time I got done working and all that stuff. Super grateful that I got it done because there was this point when I was talking to Kayliana and I was like, man, if I go to bed by 2, I could still get up by 9 and like still have gotten 7 hours of sleep. Well, clearly that didn't happen. And my kids are coming home from being out at Halloween parties and stuff. And they're like, what you doing up? And I'm like, I'm working, you know what I'm saying? And so Man, I'm glad I got it done though. I'm glad I pushed myself. I got this second wind out of nowhere that I don't know where that came from, but I'm glad I got it done. But man, I'm trying to also get in touch with like my dad's doctors. So the oncologist office called me, I think it was Friday. Yeah. And they said the doctor wasn't going to be in until Monday. And so they're going to have him call me Monday because I'm really just trying to see like what's going on. What is the actual status? Are they hopeful or, whatever? What I know from him is that he finished a round of chemo and he starts another roundup, I think, this week. But then when I ask him stuff like, okay, and then how long is the next round? Like, he doesn't know. Okay, you know what I'm saying? And so that's what made me ask him, like, hey, can you give me doctor's information? Because I don't know if I've said this on here, but like, I'm next to kin. He's not married. Both of my grandparents have passed away. I don't have any other siblings. You know what I'm saying? And so when I'm talking to these doctors' offices, so far I've just talked to nurses and not like actual doctors. I'm telling them like I don't live in New York. So then I'm trying to decide, do I need to be trying to go out there or like I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot amidst trying to look for houses. Y'all, okay. So y'all know we've been in this transition state and then I left my uh full-time job that I used to work to solely focus on my company. So that kind of slowed things down. But now we're at a place where things are a little bit more dependable financially. That's kind of why I do the subcontracting work just to make sure that I don't have to go back to a 9 to 5, but also have pretty like consistent income or whatever. And so now I'm at the place of like, okay, let's start looking for houses. We have our budget based on what everybody's going to contribute and all that. All right, cool, cool, cool. So me and my daughter went to go look at a house the other day, and it's so funny because at first I was just gonna go by myself, but I'm glad I took her with me because she also, same daughter, Kayliana, wants to get into like real estate investment and stuff like that, and like wants to be an entrepreneur. And we had this situation I didn't expect to happen. That I'm like, you know what? I'm glad I brought you with me. So story time. Let's get into it. We go to look at this house. All right, so there were things that I was willing to overlook, such as the driveway is shared by the neighbor. So like the driveway is shared, you go up that, and then you go up to this like shared garage. You each get one side, and it kind of branches off where there's parking on each side. I was willing to overlook that, even though kind of not my favorite thing. I was willing to overlook the fact that yes, it's a 4 bedroom, and there would have been like space for me to have office space and all that. But in order for me to do that, plus have my own bathroom, which is something I'm kind of adamant about, I would have had to be in the basement. Uh, Not my favorite thing, but I could have overlooked that. All right, cool, cool, cool. Now, here are things that were a little bit concerning to me. So there are things like I asked him, is the garage a automatic garage? He said no, but the landlords are willing to do that. They kind of saying like there was that, there was something else where there was like carpet that needed to be replaced. And there were just all these little things that he's like, oh, well, they're willing to do this once a lease is signed if that's what the tenant wants. Hmm. So you want me to sign a lease where I'm wanting certain things done potentially, and you're saying that after I sign this legally binding agreement, then they'll do the work that really I'm very much about like curb appeal and things looking good and presentable. You know what do they call it? I can't think of what the terminology is in real estate. Showroom ready or whatever it's called. Somebody might know. Let me know. Tweet at me if you know what I'm talking about. But I'm very much about, even like when I watch these HGTV shows and stuff like that, like how stuff looks. Like when people come look at a house and you want me to rent it, or let's say I was trying to buy it or whatever, like it should already be how it needs to be, not you saying after I sign a lease to rent it, then you'll do whatever. So that was a little concerning. And so the person that I met with, he told me off top, like he is not the landlord, he is a real estate broker with whoever. and that he would be what would be considered the property manager. Okay, so when I have, and that's like the second person that I've run across like that. So when they say that, I ask them who the landlord is. And there's two reasons. One, I want to be able to look up and make sure this is a reputable landlord company or whatever. Two, now it's more like I want to see if you on bull. You know what I'm saying? So the first house that I went and looked at, he was able to tell me whatever. He said the landlord lived in like some other country. And so I started asking questions like, oh, so like was he in the military? Because I'm trying to figure out, why does this man in another country own this house? Like what y'all got going on or whatever. All right, cool, cool, cool. That house wasn't gonna work out because and I don't know if I talked about this on here, but he wanted me specifically to make three times the rent. Y'all, rent, man, rent be renting out here. Like rent is just, it's so expensive. You know what I'm saying? And so where I'm at right now financially with my company, I'm not at a point yet where I make on my own three times the rent, but between three of us, because I'm only having them pay so much because I'm not trying to like heavily depend on them and this, that, and the other. But either way, the three of us that have steady income right now, we're well over three times. That wasn't going to work though. He said that's not what the landlord wants. And you know what? I actually respect that because you're trying to protect your investment. Because he was saying, well, yeah, these are your adult kids, but if they move out, will you be good? Or like he said, there were like roommates where it'd be four single roommates, but one of them by themselves couldn't afford it wasn't like three times the rent or whatever, which I don't understand why you have to be three times the rent, but whatever. And so he's like, if a roommate moves out or whatever, that could be an issue. All right, I respect that. You know what I'm saying? I can't be mad that you want to protect your investment. Here's what I don't understand with this second house that I went to look at. So I'm asking him off tops. I'm like, okay, well, I don't make three times the rent, but between the three of us, and I say three because my youngest was kind of like in between jobs. She has a job now, but still, like I said, I'm not trying to fully just depend on them like that. But yeah, you gonna kick in because you live in here and you're an adult, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not trying to like base everything off them. But I'm like, me on my own, I don't make three times the rent at this point. Is that going to be a problem? He was like, no. I'm like, all right, cool. I started asking some more questions. I can't remember what I asked, but then I asked him who the landlord is. Y'all, why this man? First of all, y'all know I'm big on behavior patterns. I have a background in psychology, if you don't know that. And so I noticed that he stopped making eye contact at that point. Now, I am someone who I don't always make eye contact with people. It's just something like I have to work and be intentional about looking people in their eyes. And it's actually something that I'm working on because it's kind of like people don't necessarily have trust in you sometimes if you're not making eye contact, right? So in business situations, I am very intentional about making eye contact with people. It's more so like when I'm talking about personal and vulnerable stuff that I'll be like looking all over the place, or sometimes just when I'm not thinking about it, right? Now, all through the rest of this conversation, this man was making eye contact. But then when I asked him who the landlord is, he starts looking all over the place. So that was a little different. He couldn't tell me who the landlord is. First, he said, well, it's under a LLC and there are different investors. He should have been able to tell me the name of the LLC, but he never did. Then he said, well, there are different investors involved and they're going to put it under a LLC once it's rented. Okay, so him, of course, not knowing what I do, and I'm not going to say I know everything about business, but the little bit that I know is while you can do business without having your LLC or whatever business structure registered with the state, my concern is if the rental company is not even registered with the state yet as an LLC, would they try to back out of certain liabilities? Because when you file the paperwork, your business is not registered that day. And so if you're saying you're not going to file it for a LLC until the lease is signed, that means technically you are doing business before that business is registered as an LLC. Didn't say any of this to him. I just kind of was like, huh. So here's the thing though, okay? So maybe he didn't want to tell me who the people are that are like, oh, Jack Brown or whatever is one of the investors. Okay, I guess I wasn't really asking you that. But if you're saying it's going to be under an LLC, you should be able to tell me what the LLC name is. You know what I'm saying? You shouldn't talk in circles and tell me everything except what I asked you. Talk about there's a couple and they're doctors and they're investors, and then sometimes, someone will come to me and they want to buy a house but they can't afford it, so then I'll get them. Like, you're telling me all this stuff. I ain't asked you that. I said, who is the landlord? And you can't tell me that? Sus. So I was just like, okay, well, let me think it over and talk to my other kids, because he knew that I was going to have two other adult kids that were going to rent with me. And then when me and Kayliana got in the car, I was like, absolutely not. And then told her why. And then she even told me stuff that she noticed that she thought was kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? But because I didn't point it out to him, it made her think like, oh, well, maybe that's not a big deal. And I was like, sometimes when you're in business situations, you don't need to like call people out on stuff. Like, there was no point in me trying to tell him like, oh, this doesn't sound right or whatever, because he already showed me that he was someone who was going to try to make it sound good. It doesn't matter. I'm not renting this house. I don't trust you. If you can't tell me who the landlord is, and also if the LLC is not already established, that's super like, that just doesn't sound right. You know what I'm saying? Again, I know you can do business without having it registered, but I just feel like in a situation where you're a real estate investment company, like what? You know what I'm saying? And so, of course, he doesn't know me. He doesn't know what I do. He didn't even ask. And so that was the other thing. It's like, oh, we're willing to do whatever it is to make it work. Why? You don't even know me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it just seems like, why are you not trying to protect this house? I do think some stipulations are ridiculous. Like, maybe two times the rent, sure. But when they're forcing you to make three times the rent, I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't agree with necessarily the landlord who said that other people's income can't be pulled together, because at the end of the day, everybody that's an adult has to be put on the lease. So we're all legally liable, even all three of my adult children. You know what I'm saying? I don't agree with that, but hey, he want to protect his investment. He can do whatever he wants. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you're not finna just seem like dude was on some scammer stuff. You know what I'm saying? And I just, no, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So there's that though. Trying to find a house, it's just, woo. There's a lot of stuff going on at the same time. I don't even talk about everything that's going on, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's kind of how this week was. But like I said, I joined a knit crew. I had a great day with my daughter today at the art center after going to church. Sundays are definitely my favorite day of the week, simply because I don't have to work, you know what I'm saying? So I could just do whatever. I record because it's just such a good day to record, get it out the way. I'll edit later. And yeah. All right, y'all. So I'm about to get up out of here. I will say though, I know my 3-year anniversary is coming up. I don't know if I'm gonna do anything special this year, because when I tell y'all I am literally doing the bare minimum in all things, I am doing the bare minimum just to make sure that stuff stays afloat. But if you're somebody that pays attention, like last week I didn't write a blog, and it's not because I couldn't. I didn't feel like it. You know what I'm saying? And my blog is just something, it's kind of different than my podcast. Like, my podcast is something that all I have to do is talk. Yeah, I have to edit and all that, but I don't know. For whatever reason, it just feels different where I'm not going to miss on this. The blog, I didn't feel like it. There's other things that have been content that I do or whatever that I've kind of just like pulled back, and I'm literally doing the bare minimum right now just to make sure that the main thing stays the main thing, which is like the content that I have to do, for my company, in addition to this podcast, of course, but like the content that I have to do for Melon Intoxicate and Tamara the Dawn Inc. There's a lot that goes into that, you know what I'm saying? And so to keep the main thing, I've been doing like the bare minimum because it's not even that I'm tired, I'm weary. There is so much that is going on. There is so much that I'm like carrying and navigating and this, that, and the other, and a lot of heavy things. I mean, y'all know I talk about how my bio dad has throat cancer, and I don't know how that's gonna end up. You know what I'm saying? And it's a heavy situation because, dude, it's cancer. You know, so like I'm doing the bare minimum, but 3-year anniversary is coming up. We'll see if I do anything. I don't really know. There's a lot of me that doesn't foresee anything special, but we'll see because today it's not even technically November yet, so we'll see. But I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you take care of yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically. Be healthy in your relationships, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
Ladies and gents, this concludes transmission. Tune in next time for a whole new edition. Another adventure and mission to share, be heard, and clarify the vision of this whole new world for